Now, Rotherham Council has won a government bid to become the UK's first children's capital of culture. In 2025, the South Yorkshire town will be branded the title in what is frankly one of the most tone-deaf moves this government has made to date. Rotherham is infamous for the overwhelming number of CSE cases, that's child sexual exploitation. A recent report estimates over 1,400 children were sexually abused in Rotherham in the last decade. For a town with a population of just over 100,000 at the last census, that's 10% of the population. It's practically endemic. Despite all this, the government awarded Rotherham £1.8 million and the title of UK's first children's capital of culture. An absolute mockery and an affront to those poor young girls who were victims of such horrid evil. They're not wrong, though. Rotherham is a capital of culture, Pakistani Muslim grooming gang culture. However, that's nothing to celebrate. It's something both local and national governments have failed to prevent over decades. This is an institutional atrocity. Politicians, police, and social workers were complicit in the cover-ups, all in the name of diversity. Well, let me tell you, diversity is not always a strength. Rotherham councillor Dave Shepherd said to the Daily Mail, "We're making improvements that will help change the perception of Rotherham." It's not perceptions that matter, Councillor Dave. It's child grooming. Put an end to it. The worst thing about all of this is that it's still going on today. Not just in Rotherham, but in Telford, Oldham, Rochdale, and many other unfortunate towns and cities across the UK. This issue is a problem that no one wants to talk about because people are afraid of being labelled racist. I raised this topic myself a few days ago and recently got called an anti-Muslim bigot. It's a great shame that people are quick to defend rapists and slow to defend victims. According to the report into child sex abuse in Rotherham by Baroness J, the majority of the perpetrators were Pakistani of origin. To dismiss facts as bigotry is to put political correctness above the lives of young girls. The report said several staff members were afraid that they would be labelled as racists if they identified the race of the perpetrators. Qualifiers like "not all Muslims" are unhelpful. Firstly, it's obvious no one would suspect all Muslims of belonging to grooming gangs. But more importantly, it's a distraction. When the topic of conversation is shifted back to whether it's appropriate or not to criticise the Muslim culture, we're not addressing the issue at hand. This is a crime that is predominant in a particular demographic, so it's important that we find out why. My concern is that there's an incompatibility between Pakistani Muslim values and British values. I believe we need to pressure the authorities to put an end to this ongoing evil, and we need to demand justice for those young girls. The other accusation people face when we raise this issue is one of xenophobia. Well, if it's xenophobia against this specific group, Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, then yes, call me xenophobic. And that's what they are. They're not grooming gangs. Let's not pretty it up with safe language. They are child rapists. This is a fight between good and evil. This isn't a time to be politically correct. We can support the victims of this horrible abuse, or we can support the perpetrators. To the people who would call us Islamophobic, I say, do not be an apologist for child rape. It's time we stopped being afraid. Don't be afraid of hurty words. Labels like bigot, racist, xenophobe, they no longer mean anything in this context. Don't let the opposition shut down the conversation. Let's keep the conversation alive and let the politicians, police forces and social services know that we want the young girls put first, and we don't want to hear about diversity or multiculturalism or anti-Muslim bigotry or racism or xenophobia. It's time they got their priorities straight and protected the lives of young girls up and down this country.